to the presentation on cloud computing, and these are all the members. And so first is the introduction. So data center is the core of organization, and since PCs have turned our lives and made humans dependent on one another, so we need computers all over the place, and whether it's school or home or any field. So as the utilization of PCs are increasing, so there is a need of a data center. So data center in a cloud is basically an online storage provider and which provides a software development platform such as infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. These will be discussed in the later slides of this presentation. And the main components of this cloud computing are the backend, and which basically prefers the equipment or hardware, and a client that pays for his service. The amount of service that he or she uses is the memory processing time and data transfers. And administrators are versatile, they can be changed at any time in an organization. So next will be the components of an cloud computing, which will be discussed by our Simran.
Hmm. Hi everybody. Today I'm gonna listen. Today I'm gonna tell about the ISS and the PaaS. These are the service models in the cloud computing. There's and these not are already interdependent. Like we can say that if we are using the services of IaaS, then we are not gonna depend on the SaaS and PaaS. And infrastructure refers to the online services that provides high level APIs like the access points that use to dereference various low level details of like such as underlying network architectures, infrastructures such as computing resources, location, data, partitioning, and many more. Like this is the basically based on Linux container, for example, Linux kernel running directly on the physical hardwares. So we cannot say that it's using the services of the SaaS or PaaS. And another one is the service, the platform as a services, that's PaaS. We can say that PaaS vendors offer a development environment to the application developers. It's mainly based on that. The provider typically develops a toolkit and standards for development and channels for the distribution and payment. Like in these models, providers deliver a like we can say a computing platform, typically including operating system, the programming language, execution environment, database, everything. So this is the basically PaaS, we can say, based on the application developer. And next come our the software as a service, that's SaaS. And it's a model user gain access to application software in after having the access to the application, after using the application layers, now user can have access to that. And these providers manage the infrastructure and platform that runs the application. It sometimes refers to as on demand software. So now the next part is going to be discussed by the Sukhvi.
Hi everyone. Now the deployment model for the cloud computing, they are divided into the four parts: public, private, and hybrid and community clouds. So public cloud is a type of cloud in which computing in which service provider makes resources available to the public by the internet. And resources vary by provider but may include storage capabilities, application, or virtual machines. Public cloud allow for scalability and resource sharing that would not otherwise be possible for a single organization or achieve. And next cloud is private cloud. Private cloud private cloud is a design to often the same feature as benefit of the public cloud, but uh, removes a number of objections to the cloud computing model, including control over enterprise customer data, worries about security, and issue connected to the regulatory compliance. And the benefits of the private cloud are higher security and privacy, more control, higher security with less cost and energy efficiency. So next cloud is a hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud facility is the latest cloud facility in and the world where you have an access to a thousand of cloud apps through SSO. This helps when business workforce become more complex or mobile on mobile and other devices. But with this complication, an enterprise should carry on with the help of cloud. So next cloud is a yeah, community cloud. Community cloud is a cloud service model that provides a cloud computing solution to a limited number of individuals or organization and managed and secured commonly by the all participating organization or a third party managed service provider. So next part will be covered by Shubham Kalia.
So I will be discussing about the security features of cloud computing. So in this technology, since the technology is actually based on the virtualization of the network, so in this case, anybody can get access to the to anybody else's database through some proper credentials that person might fill in. So in order to maintain the security of the cloud computing, we can, so there are the security of cloud can be hampered by multiple reasons. One would be to get an access of the database. The vendor provides the services to the consumers. So in this case, the vendor himself can be one of the threats. He can gain the access to the database and can make a bad use out of it. Uh, the other um, the other possible option for hampering the security of cloud computing would be to gain the unauthorized person access. So in this case, the data can be manipulated. A person, for example, can gain the access to a database and then, without the actual person knowing that the access has been gained by some other person, the hacker or the social engineering person, that he can manipulate the data according to his own needs, and this can hamper the confidentiality of that particular organization or the confidentiality of that particular database. Apart from this, the cloud computing providers can impart data to outsiders, the third-party users. So it's usually is a concern among, organization. For example, there was an instance of 2012 in which a company named Syncol suffered through this same hampering of the data, and they lost about 1.3 billion in that year. So, it not only makes the company suffer for the financial rates, but also it hampers uh, the entire confidentiality protocol of these companies. So considering all of the threats that can be on the cloud computing system, these are broadly described into three categories, that is insecure interfaces and APIs. So we do come across several softwares, third-party softwares that are being brought up day in and day out. And not all of these softwares are safe for sure, but since people have been using different softwares, so this might lead to loss of data, which brings to the second point, which is loss of data. So the loss of data is as in, the data that is comprised in a certain person's um, database that can be deleted or, as I've said, can be manipulated. Similarly goes the third point, which is the leakage and the hardware failure. So, apart from the hardware failure, leakage is relies in the same category. That is, the data is accessed from an unauthorized person and can be made a bad use out of. And the last point would be the hardware failure. So if the hardware of the cloud computing technology it suffers through any outage or any other um, problem, this might lead to uncontinuous service and will hamper the service at all. Thank